I think he's, yeah, we're ready. Okay.
Not live, not live. Still processing.
Hi, everyone. I'm CBS 19 Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony, streaming here on our CBS 19 Plus channel, also on our Facebook page and on CBS 19's YouTube channel. So if you're watching on any one of those three products, we will bring you up to date on what's happening here this afternoon. We're up to 2:46 here on a Wednesday afternoon. Just got a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. And so let me click on that and see what we're dealing with here. This is going to be for, it looks like Caddo, Bowie, Hempstead, Little River, and Miller County now until 3:45. So this was a storm that was just a little bit farther to the west. So that's the new warning that has been issued. Meantime, we continue to deal with this warning here in Smith County, Gregg County, Upshur, and Wood County. And we have the hashed marks on that severe thunderstorm. And the reason for that is there have been minor little rotations within that cell. And so that means it has a tornado possible tag on it. And if we have to break into programming, then we'll join CBS 19 live. But for right now, we'll stream here on our Facebook page, also on our YouTube channel and on CBS 19 Plus. So we'll try to stay on for a little bit and see what happens with this storm. Once you get let's say the bulk of this storm past your area, so for instance, in parts of Upshur County, or Wood County, I should say, back to the northwest, the tornado threat goes down. The flash flood threat goes up. Still a lot of lightning and maybe some gusty winds, but the tornado threat is really ahead of this main line of thunderstorms. And if I put this into motion for you, you'll see what I'm talking about. You can see how the line is progressing south and eastward, and it is undercutting the thunderstorms. So the thunderstorms now get lifted or elevated, and they have a harder time coming in contact with the surface. We are concerned about cells that are racing to the north and meeting up with the main line. But once that initial line pushes through, for instance, in northern Smith County, the tornado threat begins to drop off, and eventually it will be zero. It'll be gone once this cell, say, clears Smith County down into northern parts of Rusk County or over into Harrison County. So I want to pause this just because it's moving a lot, and we need to talk about what's happening right now. So we have, of course, that severe thunderstorm warning that is ongoing currently in Smith County. We also have plenty of flash flood warnings, and this is going to be another threat here this evening. So if you're out driving on Interstate 20, if you have plans to head into Dallas, Fort Worth, or up toward the north into southern Oklahoma, please be mindful that we could have plenty of water on roadways in Smith County, Wood County, and also Upshur County in areas to the north and back through Van Zant County. So I just want to go back one graphic so we can go back to the warnings here. Smith, Gregg, Upshur, Wood County till 3:15. That's on that cell there. I do want to look inside that cell, just kind of give it a inside peek for any type of circulations that we might be seeing at this time. So let me pan this down here and then zoom in on these areas. You can see a little bit of reds and greens, so there is some turbulence inside that storm, some gusty winds, but that's actually outside of the severe thunderstorm warned area. That one east of Gilmer probably has about the best chance to be looked at and maybe prompt a quick spin-up tornado north of Ore City, back to the west of Ores, north and west of Harleton, and south and east of Ewell and east of Gilmer. So that little cell there northeast of Ore City is probably the one that Weather Service is watching most carefully, near Cedar Springs, south of Lone Star. And Lone Star already got hit once this year with a fairly significant tornado. Dangerfield, it's going to be south of you. It's really near Cedar Springs and up to the northeast, headed over toward Avenger, and this is going to continue moving north and eastward. So if I walk this back just a little bit here, you might be able to see how it just kind of backs up and goes forward. I'll do that just one time for us, and watch how it's just kind of, it's zooming pretty quickly. In fact, it looks like these cells are now probably moving. If the upper level winds are about 50 miles an hour, these thunderstorm cells are also moving at about that clip. So pretty rapidly moving thunderstorms out there. Again, that cell near Cedar Springs on the northern end of that severe thunderstorm warning. In fact, we just got our Titan indicator giving us a little area of stronger rotation closer to Dangerfield. So let me go back in on that area there. Again, Titan indicator showing some rotation within that, and it looks like it's increased just a little bit east of Dangerfield. So we might, and this is going to be Morris County here, southeastern parts of Morris County. If you're in southeastern Morris County, you might want to go ahead and go to your safe place. We might get a tornado warning on that cell. Let me see if I can zoom in and get us a little bit of a look inside on that cell. Again, that's going to be that part of the cell that's spinning there with our Titan indicator. Let me go back over to the computer and see if we can click on that and give us a better look at what we're seeing here. So essentially what we want to know is what's happening inside that storm. Our Titan indicator uses a set of mathematical problems, algorithms to figure out what's happening. And currently there is a 1.5 tornado impact, but a stronger wind impact of about a 7 on that cell. So that is a cell that has potential to have a quick spin up. All right, otherwise, so I zoom things back out here, you can see there is not a whole lot toward Longview and over toward Tyler and back toward Lindale and let's say Mineola to be concerned about, but there is in that southeastern corner of Morris County right now. All right, back to reflectivity mode we go, and as we look at that, I want to put a little track on some of these cells so we know which way they're moving. Of course, this whole line is moving south and eastward slowly, while part of it is moving northeastward. It's kind of advancing in two directions. Part of the storm headed to the northeast, part of the storm pushing south and east. So let's put the movement on that whole line of showers and thunderstorms as it moves through Tyler now down to the southeast, roughly at about 35 miles an hour. And that's going to put it into White House. So White House, you're going to start to see some rain by 3 o'clock, some thunderstorms in Longview by about 3:07, Hallsville right around 3:21, Henderson by about 3:39, Tatum at 3:49, and Pine Hill at about 4:02, with Benton getting into the rain and the thunderstorms shortly after that. So again, that's the line of showers and thunderstorms that we are tracking now just on the doorstep of Harleton, I should say. It's moved through Tyler, but let me go into zoom in on Tyler here and take a closer look at the storm as it moves through parts of now southern Smith County and starts to move down into northern Cherokee and northern Rusk. Yes. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look outside here from our Tyler weather cam. All right, yeah, so we've got some really ground scrubbing clouds out there. Boy, that's a scary looking scene, right? So that's the initial line of showers and thunderstorms that pushed through Tyler, right? So now it's in South Tyler and it's pushing into southern parts of Smith County. We'll keep an eye on it. I wish I could get just a wider perspective of this. Maybe more of a shelf cloud than what we're seeing in terms of lowerings. Anything you see here, these are just scud clouds. Those are not tornadoes trying to form right now. A little flash of lightning behind that. I'd want to see a different kind of lowering out of this. But you can see how the cooler air aloft inside that thunderstorm is meeting up with the warm air that is rising up from the ground. And so where the overall condensation is exceeding evaporation, we are getting these clouds that are forming on the base of this what looks like a shelf cloud, really sort of moving off to the south and east, announcing the presence of the front. And again, once the front gets through your town, you're pretty much done with the tornado threat, but you do have the threat for heavy rainfall, thunder, and lightning on top of that. So this is part of the severe thunderstorm warning that we have going till 3:15 for Gregg, Smith, Upshur, and Wood County. All right, let's go back to radar. Or I mean, if we had one to, we could probably go to a double box at some point on that. But what we're essentially looking at is this area here, and this is the ragged edge of those clouds. So that was a good depiction to see. If I zoom in a little bit farther, you might have noticed how ragged those clouds looked in here. So that's that depiction of that, with the thunderstorm now pushing into South Tyler and eventually down toward White House and over toward Bullard. It's moved through Chandler. There are some heavier showers and thunderstorms still back here toward Van, Grand Saline, and Athens. But again, you are behind the front. And so as the frontal boundary pushes through, you lose the tornado threat and you get more of a flash flood threat and or just a straight line wind event. So now we have a new flash flood warning, and this is my big concern, I think, going forward is going to be the flash flooding for Henderson, Kaufman, Navarro, and Van Zant counties with very heavy rainfall. The rainfall rates here are likely exceeding a couple inches an hour. In fact, if we take a look at this is going to be the 3-hour rainfall rate out in some of these areas over toward Athens and Brownsboro. You'll see these collate and then pop on here in just a second. So in those areas where we have the flash flood warning ongoing from Dallas over toward Terrell out toward Canton, you're talking about 1 to 1.5 inches of rainfall in a short period of time. So that amount of rainfall on roadways can cause streams to rise quickly. It can also create some ponding on the roadways, and it can create the flash flood threats that we have. All right, let me go back here to our radar out of Shreveport. We're looking around Waters Bluff, Gilmer, Longview. I'm not really seeing much in terms of circulations that are concerning. The biggest concerning circulation was closer to Dangerfield. That has now moved northeast of Dangerfield. It would be closer now to Douglasville, southeast of Naples, and over toward Linden. And again, that's another severe thunderstorm warning for Bowie, Hempstead, Little River, and Miller County. And that also with the dashed lines means it has a tornado possible tag on it. There's one little cell here southeast of Gilmer over toward Longview, East Mountain, and White Oak that has some minor circulation within that cell also. All right, something I want to show you is what we call turbulence. So how much wind are we getting within that storm? There's quite a bit of wind out there in Winona and Wilkins up toward Gilmer and Ore City. There's a lot of gusty winds being generated by these thunderstorms in those areas toward Brumley and over toward Ore City. If you have some gusty winds, if you get any pictures that you can safely share with us, do so this afternoon. We'll certainly take those on our Facebook page and on our email at weather@cbs19.tv. All right, so one severe thunderstorm warning till 3:15. That's in Tyler. It does include Smith County. It does include Gregg and Upshur County. If I could, I may stay on till 3:15 to track this storm for you. Let me see if we've got any questions on Facebook. Probably a lot of folks wanting to know where that storm is headed and at what time. So we'll try it again. There was that flash flood warning that was just issued for Henderson and Van Zant County out to our west. Otherwise, we continue with the severe thunderstorm warning for Smith and Gregg County, and that's going to continue until 3:15. So tornado watch, by the way, is in effect for all of the area until 8 p.m. Let me go through that here. I'm going to put this into motion for us as we widen things out. You can see the general movement south and eastward right now. So these storms are tracking south and eastward. And again, the leading edge is what we're looking at on our Tyler camera there on the left-hand side of your screen. So you'll see these ragged, low clouds coming in to wherever you live. These are the cells I'd be more concerned about. Down toward Crockett, that cell was rotating, trying to get going, had some lightning on it. It looks like the lightning has disappeared. This environment out here has a lot of juice to work with, has a lot of shear to work with, so a change of wind direction with height. So it has a lot more to work with in deep East Texas now than behind the front. Behind the front, it's all a flash flood threat for us. So the rain pushes southeastward. You get gusty winds when it arrives, maybe some wind speeds that are exceeding 60 miles an hour, but I don't have anything confirmed on that yet. Potentially a spin up, but we're not seeing anything like that so far. There are some Titan indicators, a weak rotation now, again, east of Dangerfield, so that's out of our area. Don't have to really worry about that. Down toward Gilmer with heavy rain. Thunder, lightning's always dangerous. If you know anybody on any area lakes, you might want to give them a text or call and tell them to get off those area lakes up around Dangerfield State Park, for instance, maybe even down toward Lake Tyler, time to get off Lake Cherokee, time to get off the lakes there. Back out west up toward the north, plenty of lightning around Lake Fork, though pretty much they've already figured that out. Tawakoni, Cedar Creek Lake, all of those areas looking at some rain and thunderstorms, maybe down toward into the south, into Lake Nacogdoches, down toward Rayburn and Toledo Bend. They're fine for a while. These showers and thunderstorms are several hours away from those areas. Outlined in purple here again, flash flood warning, Henderson County, Van Zant County, all the way back to the south of Dallas. Heavy rainfall in that area there. And this is all part of a tornado watch in effect until 8 p.m. Let me break this down for you. Smith County, Van Zant County, Wood, Upshur, and areas north of Interstate 20 till 5 p.m., so about 2 more hours. Areas south and east of I-20 going until 8 p.m. for that tornado watch. So still a chance to have a spin up. We have plenty of parameters available for some strong storms. In addition, there is a flood watch until Thursday morning, till tomorrow morning. Smith County was added to that earlier today. Henderson County was added. Gregg, also Harrison County, were added to that flood watch. And there's a possibility here of seeing some quick flash flooding with 1 to 2 inch an hour rainfall rates. All right, let me show you future skycast. This is going to be pretty high res data here. I'll just try to walk you through. In fact, it's behind. See how it's trying to show us where it is at 3 o'clock? So it's behind, but I'll just give you the general motion of these storms as they work their way eastward. So you can imagine this is probably going to be more like 3:55. By 4 o'clock, the thunderstorms are moving out. There are other clusters of showers and thunderstorms that develop this evening, and that flash flood threat really takes over. There may be still some hailers out there toward Canton and Mineola, but it'll be small. It's the heavy rainfall threat. Last night, if you were watching on CBS 19 News at 10, I showed a map that had 4.5 to 5 inches of rain before this is all said and done, especially Interstate 20 to the north. It all winds down at about 3 o'clock in the morning, so that's when the storm will be over. All right, back to our radar here. Still have the severe thunderstorm warning for Gregg, Smith, Upshur County till 3:15, so about the next 14 minutes. Again, the hatched marks means that there could be a tornado spin up within that severe thunderstorm warning. We go up here a little bit. There's just really one county on the Missouri or the Texas side of things here. Bowie County. It looks like Cass County would also be included in that, though I don't see it in the list of counties here, but it looks like Cass County would be included. Harry, there's Marion County, so Cass County and then Bowie County should be included. And then back southwest toward Longview, toward Tyler, it's just heavy rainfall with lightning. We're about to get into a pretty loud thunderstorm in the Tyler area. If I zoom in here, you'll see all these lightning strikes north of Interstate 20 right now. Mineola, a couple you're probably hearing or seeing flashes of lightning and then hearing the rumbles of distant thunder. Same holds true up toward around Betty, but you're in a serious thunderstorm right now. Mount Pleasant, it's just rain and rumbles of thunder. Back toward Sulphur Springs, rain and rumbles of thunder there. Severe weather threat over for Sulphur Springs. Really, it's the flood threat for Canton. The tornado threat over for Canton for the day. Athens about to see that tornado threat really go down appreciably. Coffee City still just south of the front, so you have to be careful. Coffee City watching the radar. Jacksonville and Henderson, you're still in the area where you could have a tornado spin up. Carthage, Garrison, Nacogdoches, Alto, Palestine, and Grapeland. What time would these thunderstorms make it down here in deep East Texas? Most likely it might be closer to 5 or 6 o'clock until those thunderstorms can push south and eastward. But again, once these cells, or once the line of thunderstorms gets behind you and the air cools down and the thunderstorms get elevated, it will be very tough for a tornado to become rooted on the surface. So it would be more of a heavy rain and maybe some pea-sized hail, though. Last time I looked at some of the hail, I did not see much in the way of hail. Here's our hail tracker. There's a little bit out around Corsicana. That's it there. Up in our severe thunderstorm warned area, I'm not seeing any hail at all. Tyler and Gilmer and Longview and up toward Atlanta. So hail was a threat going into today, but it looks like once again we're going to escape any big hail threat for the most part. All right, let me look at just straight winds. So we're looking at winds. This is going to take into account the movement of the storm in addition to the winds inside that storm. So if we sample up toward Linden, a 53 mile an hour wind gust there, maybe down toward Longview. Let's take a look at some of the winds around Longview, 35 miles an hour. Let me go a little bit farther southeastward toward Troop and Tyler. And green is going toward Shreveport. Red will be going toward or away from Shreveport. So let's sample that area. It's very light winds right now in that cell. So not exactly the best wind. The biggest wind support here is going to be on this leading edge of the cell here. And that's, again, where we are seeing some 50 mile an hour winds, and that is within the severe thunderstorm warned portion of the cell to the north. All right, back to reflectivity we go. And thunder and lightning just arriving here in Tyler, in the north side of Tyler. And we are going to continue to see The number of lightning strikes was just 3 in the last few minutes, but we are getting right back into some heavy rain. If it rains heavy enough, sometimes the rain, if it's heavy enough, can bring down one, cooler air, two, just because of the momentum of the air, of the rain falling, I should say, it brings down a lot of wind with it. And so if the wind is coming down with the rain, of course, we're going to have some gusty winds on top of that. You might see the camera on the left-hand side of the screen just kind of shake a little bit there. A little bit of rotation showing up around Coffee City again. That's just behind the front. So it's those areas there just behind the front or right on the front that have some concern. So let me just look at that in terms of storm relative. So we're going to remove the movement of the storm, and we're just looking purely at the rain that is headed toward Fort Worth and away from Fort Worth. And we do get a little bit of range folding here in purple just because of the distance of the radar. So kind of tough to see exactly what's happening inside that storm at this moment. But if I click on our Titan indicator, we got that flash flood warning that's ongoing right now. In addition, we do have, let me see if I can catch that. We do have a little bit of hail inside of that. The probability of severe hail is at 0 right now. The probability of tornado, it's at a 0 near Opelika and more stations. So that's good to see that the tornado threat is pretty low on that part of the cell right there, even though we have the Titan indicator showing some rotation. But that is a heavy thunderstorm at this time. Flash flood warning covers that area. So I'd be more concerned about high water, driving into high water. Avoid driving into high water at all costs. Again, I'm going to stay on till 3:15 on this severe thunderstorm warning, see what the Weather Service does with that. We'll go back, we'll reset. We do have CBS 19 News at 5 coming up. If we have to break into programming, of course, we would break into programming, and you could also follow along with one of our radio partners, Jack FM, of course, 105.7, Kicks. We've got 103.7, The Ranch, and Jack FM, and then La Invasora at 96.7. That's if we have to go on air. So what you would need to do now is just make sure you have that device charged in case we have to, we get under a tornado warning or something like that. Currently a severe thunderstorm warning just with some gusty winds. If you don't have to travel, of course, you can avoid the flash flooding by not traveling here this evening until all of this passes by. But it's going to be several hours for all of the rain and the thunderstorms to move on out of here. And that's why the flash flood threat is a very real concern, as we could pick up as much as 4 to 4.5 inches of rain. And remember, we are headed now into the next 6 weeks. It's the rainiest 6 weeks of the entire year in East Texas, where we typically can pick up as much as 7 inches of rainfall. And we might knock out a big portion of that today. Tomorrow's May 1st. So tomorrow we think of May 1st to about June 15th as that rainiest period of time. And so we are going to get a little head start on that. That always helps us before we get to summer. Of course, you know what happened a couple of years ago. We had rain and thunderstorms up until about, I think, the mid to latter part of May. The rain shut off, and then by July and into August, we had prolonged heat. Last year, it was kind of similar, but we got a little break when Beryl rolled through in July. Of course, it kicked up a lot of tornadoes. We had some damage here and there, but the rains off of Beryl coming in July really kind of squashed the ability for us to bake our soil and continue to have that heat build into August. So we caught a little break last year off of Tropical Storm Beryl. So we like to see the rain. We don't like to see the severe weather. Sometimes we don't want to see the feast or famine rains, meaning that you get the feast of rain in one area and the famine of rain in other areas. For instance, Deep East Texas has a chance to see far less rain out of this event today. But I have a feeling, looking at tomorrow and then looking at Friday, we have another chance to see additional rain and heavier rains over Deep East Texas. And so those showers and thunderstorms tomorrow could bring them up to speed. Longview's behind in the rain gauge for April. Today they might erase that deficit and maybe even finish the month with a surplus. We won't really know that until this is all said and done and that data gets collected and collated for tomorrow. But right now you've got thunderstorms just north and west of Longview. Let me zoom in there. They're just about to make it to Longview right now. The heaviest rainfall just about to move into Longview. It is in Gladewater right now in Kilgore. Gilmer is in the middle of a thunderstorm, but you're on the back edge of this. So Gilmer, your tornado threat is just almost vanishing at this moment. Harleton, you're just getting into it right now, so you still have a chance to see some rotation there over toward Marshall. Down toward Tatum would be another area. Hawkins, boy, you just had a thunderstorm come through Hawkins with heavy rainfall. Good news is the rain and the lightning is moving out, and even though you're still in that severe thunderstorm warning for about the next 3.5 minutes, you are essentially out of the tornado danger today, and the same holds true for Lindale and back toward Mineola and certainly over toward Canton and Van, where there is more of a flash flood threat at this time. So just looking around, I'll just kind of pop in one more time on some of these rainfall rates. Let's examine estimated rainfall here for the last 1 hour, and you can see why some of those flash flood warnings have been issued. And I might just go down the line here. So this is going to be rainfall last 1 hour. Look, northwest of Gilmer, 1.5 to 2 inch an hour rainfall rates. Little Hope over toward Mineola and Hawkins up toward Yantis, about 1.25 to 1.5 inches an hour. So pretty impressive when it comes to the rainfall rates that we're seeing out there. Over the last 3 hours, we add totals to that. Now we're still in that same ballpark, 1.5 to maybe 3 inches of rainfall an hour. It's why we're seeing some of these flash flood warnings being issued, or flood warnings at least being issued. This is going to be the 6-hour total, and it's pretty much the same. So flood warnings to the west out toward Van and Chandler, still dealing with the thunderstorm here, starting to increase a little bit around Browning. There is a little bit of an inflow into the storm here. So a little inflow here. We'll keep an eye on what happens down toward White House. With that in mind, let me check out our velocity and see if we see any kind of rotation within that cell. Little bit happening. It looks like more moving away from the radar than toward the radar. And if there is anything, that's rather broad at this time. Let me check out our, this is going to be turbulence. So what am I looking at here? I'm looking at wind, how many wind gusts we're getting. So areas that have wind gusts, so if say, flying in an airplane and you feel the bumpiness, that's turbulence in the air. So this is measuring that, and some of the highest turbulence right now northwest of Longview. So very bumpy air aloft that can be transferred down to the surface, so some wind gusts will be possible in these locations. So let's look at velocity here in this area, and then let's sample some of that velocity and see what our winds are like northwest of Longview, right in this area here. Just 21 miles an hour, so not a lot of wind there. We've seen some stronger winds up toward, there's still 50-mile-an-hour wind being registered up in that Hughes Springs area as this part of the storm moves eastward. In fact, this is where the best wind dynamics have been so far, and how the storm has raced out to the east a little bit stronger in those areas. So about 2 more minutes to go. We'll see what happens with this severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect. Please, you can go ahead and post those questions on the Facebook page. I've been trying to check, and I have not been able to see any of the questions, and I apologize for that. I'd love to answer some of those, but let me go back over and see what we're getting, if anything, here. But again, what we're essentially just kind of on for right now is to just make sure that everybody is kind of caught up to date on the severe thunderstorm situation this afternoon. We have at least fulfilled that part of the severe thunder or the weather impact alert for severe thunderstorms. We have not had any tornado warnings, but I don't think anybody wants any tornado warnings. Though this cell here, as it moves closer and into parts of Rusk County and maybe southern Smith County, still has a chance. In fact, let me zoom in here right on this part right there. There's that little inflow again. Let me check out our velocity. See if we're getting anything there. That's on the southern part of that, just a little bit near New Chapel Hill. There may be some curious clouds out there right now around New Chapel Hill, east of Tyler, out on 64 and 31 east. So right between 64 and 31, more so riding right along 31, headed toward just out of Tyler. And now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. So let's see what's going to happen with this. It's going to be a new severe thunderstorm warning that just popped up here. And let me get that up to date for us. It might be an extension of what we are seeing. Okay, so it's a couple, we are getting Gregg, Harrison, Marion, and Upshur County until 4:15. And we are going to keep the tornado tag on it, meaning that there is a possibility we could have a spin up inside that cell. All right, let me go back to the regular radar. This is what we're watching, that cell there, and they're extending that farther south and east here until 4:15 for Browning and ARP. And when I go back to reflectivity, you'll see what I'm talking about here. So it's this one right here. There's no hail in there. Let me check on hail here. There's hail here, then we'd have some, well, okay. So there might be a little what we call side lobe contamination in that. So that may not actually be, when I check that against velocity, we're not seeing a whole ton of velocity, but when you look at the reflectivity, it does look like there is just a little appendage, but then now it's disappeared. So sometimes the radar beam can hit one of those hailstones, or if it's a cluster, if it's a lot of hail, and then it can, instead of reflecting right back toward the radar, it will reflect in a different direction, and it can occasionally give the appearance that you have a hook echo trying to form, when all it is it's some side lobe contamination. So nothing to worry about there, at least for the time being. There is, however, quite a bit of lightning, and that storm will continue pushing south and eastward. Okay, so we'll take a break. We'll kind of rework the radar and the graphics, and we'll continue working on the forecast. Of course, we have CBS 19 News at 5 o'clock coming up. We'll be back on, likely streaming again this afternoon at some point with an update. Until then, I appreciate your time. Please like, share, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and on our Facebook page you can do the same. And also you can watch for more live updates and watch free with our Roku channel, Fire TV, and Apple TV for severe weather updates. Appreciate your time watching CBS 19 Plus. Have a safe afternoon, and make sure you stay tuned for more updates.